Welcome to Venture TV. Welcome, Derek Sivers. Derek, you are a pretty famous entrepreneur. You founded CD Baby. You gave it all away to charity. You didn't you made it big and then you gave it away. That's a thing we definitely have to talk about, and we definitely have to talk about several things that you've experienced during your life as an entrepreneur. And he has learned some really cool lessons that we'll talk about right now, so you can learn from them. But first of all, let's talk a bit about CD Baby. What is it? How did you get the idea? And why did you sell it, and why did you give it away for free?
Okay, sure. So I was a full-time musician. So really, that's what I was really pursuing, was being a professional musician. And I did it. I was actually pretty successful as a musician, by my own standards. I mean, I did over 1,000 shows. I made my living as a musician enough so that I bought a house with the money I made playing music. Well. So the reason this is important is that CD Baby was just a favor that I was doing to my friends. Like, I built a website for myself to sell my CD. But then some of my friends said, hey, could you sell my CD too? I was like, yeah, okay. So it was a favor. I never meant to start a business because really I wanted to spend my life doing music. And this matters because when I realized that I had accidentally started a business, I decided to make it more of a utopian dream come true instead of something that was just existing to make money. It was something I was doing to help my friends, to make it my musician's dream come true. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a difference in motivation. So when I meet people sometimes that are trying to think of how they can make a lot of money and they ask my advice, I say, well, I'm not the best person to ask about how to make a lot of money because I was never pursuing that. It was a side effect.
And then you had that idea and everyone thought it's great. So and that's like probably lesson number one, do what you like. And then when you tell it to your friends, they have to be really overwhelmed. That's the thing that you said. That's really important.
Okay, so I learned this the hard way, that for 12 years, I did many things. I had a booking agency, a record label, a recording studio, a band. I had a 5-piece funk band. I did all of these things, and all of them were hard. Like, I was doing things, and it was a lot of work to get people to pay attention or to get people to pay me. It was very difficult. And then I started CD Baby, this one little silly hobby, and suddenly everything came my way, and all of the doors were wide open. Everybody wanted to pay me and give me money to do this thing. And the lesson I learned in hindsight is feeling the difference between an idea you have that doesn't seem to click versus an idea you have that's just, it's clicking. Everybody loves it. And so the lesson I learned was when you have those ideas that just aren't working, is to let it go. To not force an idea on people, but instead have many ideas and not get too attached to any one idea, so that you can say, okay, world, here's an idea of something I'm trying. And the world says, eh. And you'd say, okay, well, how about this idea? And the world goes, oh, that sounds pretty cool, but they're not paying you. You say, okay, here's a different idea. What about this? And the world says, I don't know. And then you try another idea and everybody says, oh my God, yes, can I pay you right now? I want to be your beta tester. Here, let me pay you now. And you go, okay, now I've found an idea that works. So the lesson learned for young entrepreneurs is to just be willing to let go of your ideas. We're always told that we should be persistent, but I think people have the wrong definition of persistence. Persistence is not just doing the same thing over and over again. Persistence is being creative and trying different approaches to reach the same goal. But you know, if there's a door and it's locked, you don't just keep trying the same key again and again. You try different ways to get the door open. You're
persistent as well, but it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, so it's a different persistence. It means trying different ideas, not just sticking with one idea.
Yeah. You sold your company. It went quite well. Like you've added a few things, and then you were a credit card processor, so to say, in the first place, and then you opened up a store, and then you developed it, and in the end, it became worth $22 million. Quite cool. But then you gave your company away to charity, and then it was sold for $22 million.
Yeah.
Most of you guys out there start their company to make money and to become like filthy rich and afford everything that you always wanted to afford. What was wrong in your case? What
was wrong? You have to know why you're doing what you're doing, and you have to know who you are, the way that you like to live. And for me, I mean, to be clear, CD Baby was already profitable. I was making $3 to $4 million a year net profit, and I was the only owner. I had no investors, just me. So I already had a few million dollars. I already paid off all of my debts, and I had more money than I knew what to do with. And then they said, we're going to give you another $22 million to. So I had to get kind of philosophical and think about what I wanted to do with my life. And am I ever going to spend $22 million? I was like, I don't want to be that asshole that gets a Ferrari and a big stupid house. I was like, that's just not me. So I realized, I'm going to give it all away anyway. And so that's when I talked to my accountant, and he said, if you're serious, if you're really going to give all this money away at the end of your life anyway, there's a big, big advantage to giving it away now. Okay. Create a charitable trust now, transfer the ownership of your company into the trust now, and then when you sell the company, the purchaser is buying it from the trust, and therefore all of the $22 million goes to charity.
Otherwise, you would have to pay
tax-free. Yeah. So otherwise, if I would have taken the $22 million, I would have received $22 million. I would have paid $8 million in taxes. Yeah. It would have left, what is that? $14 million for me to give to charity. Now, instead, because I gave it all away in advance, all $22 million went to charity. Yeah. It's just it's a technicality, but it made a big difference to me. It's I just gave an extra $8 million to charity, instead of tanks in Iraq.
Yeah, totally. Another thing that was really important for me was that you said, don't imitate others. And you guys, maybe you yourself, or many of your friends who just imitate others, who look at successful entrepreneurs and just like a guidebook, follow what they are doing. We have some successful entrepreneurs that every one of you knows out there, and many of you guys are following these entrepreneurs. Yeah. You say, don't just follow them. Be yourself. Be true to yourself, and don't imitate. Why?
It's hard to not imitate people, especially when you listen to very persuasive speakers. You listen to, you read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek, and you think that, I should be living that life. I should be being such a nomad and learning to tango in Argentina. And then you read a Richard Branson book, and you think, wow, I really should have 100 companies and start an airline. You read other books, and you think that you should be doing what they do. But you really have to know yourself well enough to know what makes you happy, and be confident enough to say no to the things that other people are doing, and say, no, that doesn't make me happy. I don't want, for example, I don't want a Playboy lifestyle. That doesn't make me happy. I don't want to drive a Ferrari.
Everyone thinks that's cool, driving a Ferrari, living a Playboy lifestyle, but maybe it's not cool for you, right?
Yeah, and it would make me feel icky, and it helps that I knew that about myself. Yeah. And I know that I like quiet and I like solitude, so I don't live a party lifestyle. And I know that, just things like this. I know what makes me happy, and so you can adjust your life accordingly, which it can make you very unpopular. It can make you saying no to a lot of things that everybody else is doing. Yeah. Like even, for example, when I sold CD Baby, got all this money that the normal thing would have been to move to Silicon Valley, and now I'll be an angel investor, and I'll be hanging with the PayPal mafia, and but I was like, I spent 6 months in San Francisco, and it's like, I don't I like it from a distance. I don't like being in it. It feels like a bubble. I'm like, so yeah, instead I moved to New Zealand and Singapore and living around the world, because that makes me happier. Yeah.
What do you think is the best way to find out what you really want? Do you think you don't really have to find out because you feel it? If you just listen to yourself, good enough?
Yeah, just experience. There are many things that you may think that you want in theory, and then you try it and you find out you don't like it. Yeah. So you might actually have to go buy a big house to know that you don't want a big house, or buy lots of stuff to realize you don't like having lots of stuff. You just have to try it to know.
Coming to other lessons for entrepreneurs, having built CD Baby, what things are there that you would give as an advice to young entrepreneurs? For example, like you've talked about sending out little squids with CDs. That was really funny.
Well, I just found that we think we know what customers want, but you don't really know until you actually experience real customers will tell you what they really want. And you have to keep your ears open. You have to really listen to what people are saying. You have to ask people, notice what people are asking for, because it may be that the business you thought you were starting is not the business that people really want.
Okay.
I don't know if with your interviews, you probably have found that. I think the story of Flickr is that Flickr at first was like a game or something like that, and like an online sharing game, but then lots of people were posting photos. And they said, oh, I think people actually want a photo service. And so they just changed their plan because they were listening to what people really want.
Yeah, I guess YouTube started as a video dating site or something.
Really?
So,
I didn't know that.
I think that YouTube, watch the video with Chet Hurley that we've done, the founder of YouTube. I think he says something about that in that video. Another thing is the value of ideas, and that's the thing I want to conclude with, because that's really important. Many of you guys have an idea, think the idea is brilliant and will make super amounts of money. You say, it's not about the idea. That's just one part of the game. Yeah. Another thing is really important. What is it?
Ideas are just a multiplier of execution. So a brilliant idea, if you're not doing anything about it, is worth nothing. Absolutely nothing. Everybody's got a fucking brilliant idea. It's worth nothing, but your execution, the hard work of actually taking an idea, turning it into reality, getting people together, making it happen, doing the hard work to, whether it's the programming or the executing or the marketing, that's where the real value is. The idea is just a multiplier. So you can actually have a pretty normal, boring idea. Like, whoever makes these things. This wasn't a brilliant idea, but I'll bet the company that does this is making some money because they're very good at making these umbrellas, manufacturing them, getting them into locations. It's not a brilliant idea, but they're making money because the execution is great. Yeah. It works. And so, same thing that you don't have to worry so much about the idea. The idea can just be average, but if you have great execution, you're multiplying the idea times the execution. Now, if you have a better idea, you might make more money, but only if your execution is also great. Yes. So again, it's just devalue the idea itself and understand that it's just a multiplier of execution.
So have a good idea, and we've talked about how you find that out. All your friends have to go crazy about your idea, and then be good in execution. And that means not just pursue the way you think is the right one, but try if it's really the right one, and go the way that feels the best, and don't fear to iterate and to change things. And so it was great. It was really great talking to you right now. How do you earn your money right now? Do you still earn money, or do you just live off the money you've made already?
I mostly right now just live off of I do things that are almost intentionally not profitable right now, just because I think they're fun, or they're educational, they're useful to other people, or interesting to me. It feels like quite a luxury after 20 years of doing the hustle, everything to make a buck. Even as a musician, you have to work so hard to make $100. So I'm enjoying right now just kind of doing things just for fun.
Yeah. So you're a living inspiration for other people, and you've given some really cool talks. So I would really recommend you looking at your website, sivers.org, and that's just great. You find other resources there, and he has some really cool lessons to tell. So I'll look it up. And I think you'll find very cool things.
And honestly, anybody who watches this show, especially if you made it all the way to the end of the interview, I put my email address out in the open on my website, and it's something I actually enjoy doing an hour or two a day. Is I just answer emails from strangers. So feel free to email me, ask me anything.
Which is quite easy. Which is derek@sivers.org. Yeah, but so it's really cool. So if you want to write him anything, do it, and see whatever reply might come.
Oh, I reply.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here, Derek. It was really good talking to you.
Thanks.